Okay, today is May 16th, 2025. China time, May 17th. It's our 94th meeting reading the Urantia book with Heidi. We keep reading paper 117, God the Supreme, section 1, nature of the Supreme Being, and section 2, the source of evolutionary growth. 今天是2025年5月16日，中国时间5月17日，周六早上。今天我们继续读御书117篇《神之至高者》，第一节至高存在者的本质和第二节进化性成长的源头。
Okay.
Okay, take it away, Heidi.
Greetings, Urantia readers and future Urantia readers and future Urantia readers. We're paper 117. We're in God the Supreme. Almost finishing out the Supreme section, which is a tough section to get through, I'm telling you. So we're working on it. We're getting through it.
Yes.
We're proud of ourselves. So okay, so as Ricky said, we read half of the first section called Nature of the Supreme Being. So we're going to start right in the middle. I think, Ricky, we're starting at where it says truth, beauty, and goodness.
No, I think we finished 117.15. We should read, in the screen, I have 117.1.6. The paragraph starting, the evolving divine nature of the Supreme is becoming a faithful portrait of the matchless experience.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see it. It was one above. Okay, So that's where we're starting, and I'll get started. Okay, I just want to, for people who are actually reading books, it's about halfway through the first section, and the paragraph starts with the evolving divine nature of the Supreme. That's where the paragraph starts. So I'm going to start now. The evolving divine nature of the Supreme is becoming a faithful portrayal of the matchless experience of all creatures and of all creators in the grand universe. In the Supreme, creatorship and creaturehood are at one. They are forever united by that experience, which was born of the vicissitudes attendant upon the solution of the manifold problems which beset all finite creatures, all finite creation, as it pursues the eternal path in quest of perfection and liberation from the fetters of incompleteness.
你读中文的部分可以吗？
OK， 来，至高者正在进化的神性本质，正逐渐成为大宇宙中所有受造物和造物者无与伦比经验的一种忠实写照。在至高者中，造物者身份和受造物身份是一致的。整个有限造物为寻求完美以及从不圆满束缚中解脱，而坚持走上永恒的道路，期间会受到各种各样问题的困扰。伴随着这些问题的解决而来的是诸多变迁，由此获得的经验使这两种身份永远结合在一起。Okay.
All right, thanks. We talked about this last time that because my theory is that they know how hard this paper is for us to this section, this Supreme section is for us to get through because it's a completely new concept to us. Vicky, I'll let you translate.
对，就是关于神的至高者的这几篇呢，是非常难的，因为是对我们来说是非常新的一些的概念。
So in this paper, we noticed last time, Ricky and I noticed last week, they're really repeating the same idea, you know, a little bit differently, but the same basic idea over and over again in a little bit different words. And they don't usually do it quite to this extent. So that makes us think, well, I think Ricky agrees with me, but that makes me think, and I think Ricky thinks so too, that they're really trying to help us to understand this.
我们上一次也就发现他表达同一个概念，反复的用不同的词啊、不同的角度啊，实际上就是在反复的表达同一个概念，同一个那个yeah.
Remember, when this book was written, there was an original forum of humans, and they would give them the first drafts that they'd be delivered. They were written by these celestial beings. They came through a human, and then they would be presented by humans to a group of humans called the Forum in Chicago. And then those people would come back and have a meeting, and they'd all be able to ask questions that what wasn't clear, what they didn't understand, and they'd get an edited version the next week.
对，这个书成书的过程当中，就是相当于它不是有一个论坛嘛，很多的成员在那个论坛当中，他就是第一稿弄出来之后呢，读给这些论坛的人听，在不清楚的地方，然后再回去大概询问那个传资料的，通过传资料的人，在梦中那个传资料那个人，大概再进行更正啊、澄清啊，就修订，反复的修订这种成书的。
That makes me think that maybe they asked a lot of questions in this section, right? Because the author felt like they had to explain it over and over and over again, the same basic thing. So I think that the people, I'm guessing that the people in the forum really had a lot of questions about this section, and then the authors realized that this is really, the supreme business is really hard for us to grasp.
有可能这论坛的人他们就提了很多的问题，然后那个作者觉得这些内容的确是很难理解，所以呢就给我们很详细的解释。
Okay, so this paragraph is saying that pretty much the same things, but the evolving nature of the Supreme is becoming faithful portrayal of the matchless experience of. So it's just saying that all the creators and all the creatures, all the ascending beings and all the descending beings, the mortals and the gods, they're all their experience mixed together is what is evolving into becoming the nature of the Supreme. It's becoming, it's not there yet. The Supreme is going to be a faithful portrayal of the experience of all creatures and all creators in the grand universe.
就重复，它是重复第一句嘛，至高者正在进化的神性本质，正逐渐成为大宇宙中所有受造物和造物者无与伦比经验的一种忠实写照。
And that experience, the creature and the creator experience, when it's portrayed in the Supreme, it's not like two sides of the Supreme or this part of the Supreme and that. It's completely unified as one. You can't, all of our experience combined is just like a child from his parents. You can't look and say, oh, that's a father and that's a mother. You can a little bit, but it's combined to make a child, right? The DNA from the mother and the DNA of her father, you make it one being. You don't have like a twins and one is your father and one is your mother, or a double personality. And that's what they're saying. It's combined. The Supreme is going to portray both together.
这至高存在者至高者他就是结合了受造物和造物者的经验，并且是完全一体的融合的，就像一个孩子，他来自父和母的，但是就是他的那个就是彰显它是一致的一体的。
So they're also telling us, this last sentence is kind of beautiful. They're also telling us that we're all doing the same thing. The creatures, the creators, the supreme, we're all on an eternal path in quest of perfection. Okay, we understand that, but listen to this. And liberation from the fetters of incompleteness. So to evolve and to experience, as opposed to the Trinity who's complete, doesn't really need experience, doesn't really evolve, it's already perfect. So all the creatures in the grand universe and the gods are evolving, and they're saying we're in eternal path, quest of perfection, and liberation from the fetters of incompleteness. So they're saying to be incomplete, you don't want to be in that state permanently. You want to reach perfection. So they call it the fetter. It's really beautiful, but they call it the fetters of incompletion. They're kind of letting us think of it as like there's kind of chains around us. As long as we're incomplete and not perfect, we're kind of chained a little bit. We're not really free. And so we're all we want liberation from those chains. So to be complete is to be liberated. So that's an interesting way of saying it.
我还用就是很优美的语言来描述我们就是如果我们不完美呢，我们不完满它就是受束缚，就不能算是自由的嘛。所以那句话是整个有限造物为寻求完美以及从不圆满束缚中解脱而坚持走上永恒的道路。这个它就是用这个束缚这个词在这个地方表达不圆满。
So the other, and I'm not going to take too long in each paragraph, but this last sentence was really beautiful. So I said that 3 times already. So the other thing about it that I liked was they are forever united. The creatures and the creators are forever united by that experience which was born of the vicissitudes attendant upon the solution of the manifold problems which beset all finite creation. So they're saying that just being in the grand universe, if you're God or a creature, ascending or descending, you're going to have a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems with being experiential, with evolving, because as long as you're not complete, you're going to have a lot of problems to solve. So they're saying that in the supreme creation are at one, they are forever united by that experience. So what unites the creators and the creatures to be portrayed in the supreme are those problems of incompleteness that we're solving, the solutions. We're doing that together, and it unites us. It unites the creators and the creatures because we're in this together solving. It's like if you go to war with someone, you don't care who's rich, who's poor, who's black, who's white. You're in the trenches together. You have the same problem. You're trying to defeat the enemy and stay alive. It's kind of like that. We're all in this together. So everyone in the grand universe during this universal era where the grand universe is trying to become complete, we're all united by this bond of trying to evolve together and reach light and life for every universe in the grand universe.
Yeah. 对，他就说这个，在不管是对沉降之神还是像我们扬升之子他就是 在这个进化过程当中，一定是有问题，很多问题需要解决的。在我们就是要，造物者和受造物，他就是要一起来，同心协力来解决这些问题哈，找到解决方法。那么就像，我们参加一个战争，我们就是在战壕里边，不管是你是富有的还是贫穷的，我们都是战友，然后面临同样的敌人，都是目标一致嘛。在这样一个大宇宙的时代，就是我们就是结合在一起哈，一起进化，然后使我们的大宇宙进入光和生命的时代。
So the Urantia book always tells us, how important decisions are. They're the most important thing you can do is make a decision, right? Because you make the right one, which brings you closer to God, or the wrong one, which brings you further from God. And then you can work your way back, but the further you go, the easier it is to go further away. And the more good decisions you make that bring you closer, the easier it is to make more good ones. So it's always telling us how important decisions are. But here and there, it also tells us our path is not supposed to be smooth. It's not supposed to be a picnic. It's not supposed to be a perfect day at the beach every day of our life. So we make these tough decisions because we have tough problems. That's not an accident. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. Jesus had tough problems and he did everything right. So the point is, we're supposed to have problems and we're supposed to solve them. That's what we're doing down here. That's what it's all about, reaching perfection because we're imperfect. When you're imperfect, you're going to have problems.
对，只要是不完美，那么一定是有问题的。我们在这个通向完美的过程当中，有很多的决定需要做。那么正确的、好的决定呢，使我们跟神更接近；那么错误的决定呢，使我们远离神。那么，绝对不是什么都很平顺啊，天天都是去野餐呐，天天在海滩上去放松啊。我们有很多很困难、有挑战性的问题需要解决，需要做出决定。那么两方哈，造物主和受造物就是要一起协作来解决这些问题，来就是逐渐达至完美。
And this is me talking.
现在
Yeah, I'm not
说
interpreting.
他的，这是他在讲话吗？
And the reason I'm so adamant about this is because I had a horrible week. Everything went wrong. Everything. It was terrible. And I would have a big problem and then I would try to solve it and I'd just make it worse. And then I would try to solve that and I'd make it much worse. And it got to the point where I don't think it could get any worse, these problems, these particular problems. And so I was praying a lot and saying, help me, I don't know what to do. I'm messing everything up here and it's horrible. And one of the things I realized was one of the messages, that flashed into my head are like, you're supposed to have problems. It's not supposed to be, you're not supposed to have a perfect job where everything goes well and everyone loves you when you do great work. You're not going to learn anything from that.
他就说，对于他讲自己的经验，他就说这个过去的一个礼拜就是非常不顺，遇到一个很大的挑战问题，结果他努力去解决，发现只是更糟糕，让事情变得更糟糕，然后他就是跟神祷告，然后他意识到。就是那个在他头脑当中就是闪现出来的这个意念是说，我们的人生好像就是不会是那个很顺利的。那么你是很顺利的话，你学不到任何东西。
It's like Appreciate the smooth times, appreciate the good times, appreciate the calm waters, because it's not going to last. Just appreciate it when it's happening. And you can be sure a storm is going to come.
对，往往有的时候风暴一定是会来临的。Pre-ship,
What?
pre-ship. You said pre-ship,
Ship?
pre-ship. No.
In what context?
The storm is sure to come.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the calm waters, because the storm is sure to come. You know the word, you know that word, appreciate.
Yeah, appreciate the calm water because the storm is short to come.
It's sure it's the calm waters definitely aren't going to last. You will definitely have a storm at some point. So appreciate it when everything's going well, when everything's perfect, because it's not going to stay that way.
他是说，当水面都是平静的时候，海面平静的时候，你要感恩，因为，这不久就会有风暴嘛，所以风暴就是说是很正常的事情。
So the real challenge is, and I'm not there yet, but the real challenge is to appreciate the storm, right? The same way you appreciate the calm waters, to learn to say, wow, this is great. We're really learning something here. We're really challenged. This is fun, right? It's like it's like Crazy Horse, the American Indian, when he rode into battle, he always said, today is a good day to die. You know, you just embrace it, no fear.
对，就是在风暴当中，我们也要心存感恩啊，在风暴当中，我们学到更多。那么，美洲印第安人在去打仗之前，他总会说今天是去赴死的好日子。
So like many people, when people accuse me of things, when they lie about me, when they are rude to me, when they won't listen to me, all these things, I get emotionally, I get upset, and I start speaking too fast, speaking too loud, trying to be heard, trying to make my point, and that always makes it worse. So this time I was really smart, and when I was talking to one very important boss guy, the boss of the boss of the boss, right? He was very upset, and he was really not being nice, not letting me speak. And I was so calm, and I was so collected, and I was so, I was so proud of myself, because he was telling me how emotional I was, but he was the emotional one. I was completely calm. So I did so well. And then I'll let you hear what happened next.
他就说这个，当然可能在工作的地方，有些人就是说他坏话呀，诋毁他呀，然后他一度变得非常的情绪化，很不高兴，然后呢，然后也是就是跟老板的什么交流也是，就是那个老板也责备他怎么样，就是好像很情绪化，但是实际上他那个老板也很情绪化反正就是大概最近不大顺。
So I had been asking, for God, Jesus, angels, anybody, just to, for guidance, to help me be strong, to help me, do it right. Apparently I got it, and I listened, because I was so good in that first meeting.
就说他跟神祷告啊，寻求神的指引啊，使他能够坚强在这个 在这种试炼当中能够坚强来通过这些的考验。
Then I had a meeting, and then I'll move on to, we'll go to the next paragraph after this. Then I had a meeting with an even more important person who could really save my job, because at this point I was in so much trouble. So I just thought I'd be the same, like really calm, really cool. Instead, I completely lost my cool. I was upset. I was interrupting. I was as bad as I could possibly be. I made a complete fool of myself and really made things worse.
他在跟一个重要人物的开会当中，好像表现没有那么好，没有那么平静，然后还比较情绪化。对，就是他好像工作的安全性现在有问题。
Then I was just hating on myself and just, well, I'm such a jerk. I have no self-control. And then I hear another message. It just says, take it easy on yourself. You know, you did good in the first meeting, and you know, it's very hard to control yourself. You're in a very difficult position. Everyone is after you right now. Just, you know, you'll do better next time. Like, don't make a big thing about it. Just get over it.
他就是自责啊，比较自责，然后他又听到人大概安慰他，你，不用那么太紧张，那么你第一次会议还做得不错，任何人在这种情况下都不会那么冷静的。
So I'm sharing this because I think a lot of people are going to go through similar things where you're in meetings, your people are against you, you have to defend yourself, and you know, so I'm trying to share it because sometimes they're going to definitely pray for guidance, but sometimes you're going to listen to your thought adjuster, sometimes you're going to get so emotional that you forget, and just go do the best you can and keep asking for guidance, keep forgiving yourself, and know that we're supposed to do this. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to learn to handle difficult situations.
对，那么，我这样分享，因为在生活当中，我们总会碰到这样的情形，让我们，需要为自己辩护，然后呢，那就是需要记住，要经常的跟神祷告来寻求指导。
So just the end of the story, today I had a very important meeting about the same issue with 3 people this time, and I handled myself very well.
今天又跟3个人物开会，他觉得他表现的还不错，没有那么情绪化。
I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of myself.
Be calm, you know, don't blame people. So be.
What you have to realize, it's really out of your hands. You know, you try to behave yourself as best you can. You pray, you know, try to channel Jesus, be wise, but that's all you can do. You can't make other people listen to you or treat you well or behave well. You have to let that go. Trying to convince those kind of people of things, they're either going to listen or they're not, but you can't convince them. You can't make that your job. Your job is just to behave yourself. I mean, not behave yourself. I mean, control your emotions.
对，就是没有办法改变别人，你只能是，觉得控制自己的情绪吧。
Okay. Here we are. The truth, beauty, and goodness are correlated in the ministry of the Spirit, the grandeur of paradise, the mercy of the Son, and the experience of the Supreme. God, the Supreme, is truth, beauty, and goodness. For these concepts of divinity represent finite maximums of ideational experience. The eternal sources of these triune qualities of divinity are on superfinite levels, but a creature could only conceive of such sources as super truth, super beauty, and super goodness. Okay.
真美善在上灵的侍奉，天堂的庄严，上旨的仁慈和至高者的经验中得关联起来。神之至高者就是真美善，因为这些神性概念代表了观念经验的有限最大的极限。这些三者一组的神性品质的永恒源头是在超有限层次上的，但受造物只能将这样的源头想象为超真、超美和超善。Okay.
All right. So truth. So they say it start. I'm going to try to be fast on this one. Truth, beauty, and goodness. It starts out are correlated in the ministry of the spirit. That would be I guess truth. Yeah, the grandeur of paradise. That would be beauty. The mercy of the Son, that would be goodness, and the experience of the Supreme, that would be, that's experience actually. So what they're telling us is that, they always tell us like that the Son is this, and the spirit is that, and the paradise is this, and they're really saying they are these things, and they correlate with truth, beauty, and goodness. Their traits correlate or match up with truth, beauty, and goodness, but the Supreme, it's the experience. What he's reflecting to the universe is, I mean, that the spirit may reflect truth, and the paradise may reflect beauty, but the Supreme is reflecting experience, which is interesting because it's not experience isn't really like truth, beauty, or goodness, right? It's a little different. But that's what I think that's what the Supreme is, that's what they're all, the Supreme is all about experience.
真美善哈，真美善，天堂的庄严应该对应美吧，上子的仁慈应该对应善，上灵的侍奉对应真，对，然后呢，这是神性的品质嘛，然后呢，至高者呢，就是强调的是经验，然后这个经验呢，就把这些的天堂的这种属性啊、本质啊，就是体现和关联起来。
So they're saying truth, beauty, and goodness are correlated in the ministry of the Spirit, the grandeur of paradise, the mercy of the Son. But they're saying God, the Supreme, is truth, beauty, and goodness, and not correlated in his experience necessarily. He is truth, beauty, and goodness, and that's because for these concepts of divinity represent finite maximums of ideational experience. I think what that's saying is that we can experience truth, beauty, and goodness right here in the finite, but it's like the maximum ideational experience that we can have. Like when we touch truth, beauty, and goodness, that's the maximum thing we can experience in the finite level. I think that's what they're saying. But because we can experience it, and we do experience it, it becomes part of the Supreme. It actually becomes, everything we experience becomes part of the Supreme.
对，就是在我们这个有限的凡人层次，我们也能够体会真美善。并且这些品质就是应该是在神之至高者那儿就达到了这个观念经验的最大极限。 就我们经验到的，就也是神之至高者的经验到的，也是他的一部分。
Now they're saying that just like all the energy in the grand universe and on the cosmic mind and the thought of just and everything here comes from the Trinity, comes from paradise, comes from God. Everything it doesn't just, it all has a source. The source is never here in the grand universe. It's always from the central universe, from paradise, from the Trinity. So they're saying that even truth, beauty, and goodness. Hold on. Oh, I was reading the wrong part. They're saying the eternal sources, the eternal sources of these triune qualities of divinity are, or of truth, beauty, and goodness, are eternal sources of triune qualities of divinity are on super finite levels. But the sources of truth, beauty, and goodness are on super finite levels. Okay, that means they're not in the grand universe. Super finite levels are beyond finite. They're super finite. So they're eternal. So they're ultimate, they're absolute, they're eternal, they're from paradise and or from the Trinity. So they're saying that this is a tricky sentence, but I think they're saying that the sources of truth, beauty, and goodness are on another level, not on the finite level. But we conceive of those sources as super truth, super finite, and super, what was the other one? Truth, beauty. So I don't know what they're really trying to tell us there, but I think they're saying that if we were to see those sources or experience those sources, they would be beyond truth, beyond beauty, beyond goodness. I think that they're saying is that by the time they get to the finite, they're diminished. They're only part of what is really these sources on paradise. I think that's what they're saying.
对，这真美善，它实际上它也是发源于这个天堂三位一体嘛，不是我们这个大宇宙的，对，它是来自那个三位一体啊，三者一组啊，来自这个就是超有限层次的，就是表达这样的一个意思，就是在那个永恒的源头那个层次，这个真美善，就虽然我们在这个有限的大宇宙，这个有限宇宙，它能够体会和表现这些，但是这个的最终的源头是那个永恒的源头，从那边来的，从绝对层次来。
So I think they're saying, I'm just saying it another way if you want to translate or not. But I think they're saying by the time it reaches us, by the time it's at a level where we can experience it, truth, beauty, and goodness, kind of watered down in our universe. I mean, to us they're incredible, but they're watered down so that we can experience them and perceive them. But if a time ever comes where we get to see the sources, they'll be like super truth, super beauty, super goodness, like unrecognizable to us, just like unbelievably good or true or beautiful.
对，那真美善啊，就是到我们这有限的层次，它都是被稀释了的，然后，随着我们进化一个往上，就会就是更体会更强烈的、更纯净层次的真美善是我们不能想象的。
I think I'll read the next 2 paragraphs because they're the last ones of this section and they're short. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do. So, Michael, a creator, that's Jesus. Remember, Michael is always Jesus. Michael, a creator, revealed the divine love of the Creator Father for his terrestrial children. And having discovered and received this divine affection, men can aspire to reveal this love to their brethren in the flesh. Such creature affection is a true reflection of the love of the Supreme. Okay, next paragraph. The Supreme is symmetrically inclusive. The first source and center is potential in the three great absolutes, is actual in paradise. Okay, wait, the first source and center, okay, that's God, is potential in the three great absolutes, is actual in paradise, in the Son and in the Spirit, but the Supreme is both actual and potential, a being of personal supremacy and of almighty power, responsive alike to creature effort and creator purpose, self-acting upon the universe and self-reactive to the sum total of the universe. And at one and the same time, the supreme creator and the supreme creature. The deity of supremacy is thus expressive of the sum total of the entire finite. Okay.
两段。
迈克尔，一位受造物者，展现了造物之父对其世间子女的神圣之爱。人们在发现并接收到这神圣深情之后，才能渴望将这种爱展现给他们肉身中的兄弟。这种受造物深情是至高者之爱的一种真实反应。至高者是对称包含的，第一本源与中心在三大绝对者中是潜在的，在天堂、上子和上灵中是现实的，但至高者即是现实的，又是潜在的。它是具有人格、至高性和全能、大能的存有。它能对受造物努力和造物者意图都同样做出回应。它对宇宙自我运作、对宇宙的总和自我回应。它是至高造物者，同时又是至高受造物。因此，至高性神灵表达着整个有限的总和。All right.
Okay, so the first paragraph is an easy one. They're basically saying Michael, Jesus came and lived a life as a mortal, and revealed the love of the Father, the love of God, to his children. We are the children of Jesus. When he came here and lived a life with us, he's really our Father. He's the one who created us, Jesus, not God. Jesus created us. He's our local universe sovereign. He created this whole local universe. So he's our actual Father. I mean, God, we can call God our Father because he's everyone's Father, but he's more like our grandfather if you want to think of it technically. But we wouldn't be here without him, that's for sure. But that's what, So they're saying Jesus came, lived a life as a man to reveal the love of the Father to us. And having discovered and received this divine, now that we have received his love, his divine affection, his perfect love, we should aspire, men can aspire, to reveal this love to their brethren in the flesh, our brothers and sisters. So we've been loved by our Father, a divine being. Now it's our job to love each other, to show each other how he loved us. And he's showing us how God loves us.
迈克尔哈，他是地方宇宙的造物之子嘛，是地方宇宙的创造者和统治者。 那么他的在肉身显现呢，是彰显神对我们的爱，所以实际上严格讲，他是我们直接的父。那么三位一体神呢，就相当于主父，他是直接创造我们的。然后呢，他通过他来彰显神对我们的爱，就是我们接到这样的礼物呢，我们就把这样的爱给到跟我们一样在肉身当中的兄弟。
And remember, the Supreme is all about duality and connectedness. It's all about the sending beings reaching down and the finite beings reaching up. It's all about perfection and evolution. Experience. It's the Supreme is all about duality. So here they say, such creature affection is a true reflection of the love of the Supreme. So they're saying when Jesus comes and lives with us and shows us God's love, and then when we reach out to our brothers and sisters and show them Jesus's love, that reflects the love of the Supreme. So because the Supreme is all about the gods coming to us and us going to the gods becoming more human and the humans becoming more godlike. So there's nothing that shows that more than when we teach each other what Jesus taught us. So that becomes part of the Supreme, that love. We have to love our brothers and sisters to show them how Jesus loved us. So he's basically teaching us how to love. So when we learn from God, he's a God. When we learn from a God how to love each other, that becomes part of the Supreme. So that love is part of the Supreme now.
那个，当我们就是把这个爱延伸到弟兄、姐妹身上，我们就相当于就是彰显神的爱嘛。然后，这种爱的这种连结，那就是，因为神之至高者他就是一个二元性，他就是表达一种连结的概念。在这种爱的延伸当中，就是我们人呢就更往神更靠近，神呢他也就跟人更接近，所以这种爱的连接就相当于长养这个神之至高者，就成为神之至高者的一部分。
Okay, I'm just looking at this next paragraph. This is a pretty tricky one. Okay, so if we just think that this is, all about the creature perspective and the creator perspective coming together, that's what the Supreme is all about. That's what the whole finite universe is about. It's about experience. And how does that happen? It happens with these creator sons and daughters and these ascending sons and daughters. That becomes almost the personality of the Supreme, where it becomes what makes up the Supreme, what the Supreme is all about. It's about that struggle and that victory and that synthesis. They call it a symmetrically inclusive. There's a symmetry between the gods and the mortals working together. So, okay, I'll let you defend that as best you can.
对，那就第一句哈，最后一段的第一句，至高者是对称包含的。这对称相当于就是一边是造物者，一边是受造物，沉降的之子之女，神子哈，沉降的神子和扬升的神子，它就是在这个有限时空这个宇宙进行结合，这个在这种进化的努力奋斗当中来进行融合。
Okay. Okay, the first source and center is potential in three great absolutes. Okay, so I think the best way to say this is God, the Father, is one way, one aspect of the first source and center. So the first source and center is God, the original being that everything else comes from. That's why it's the first source and center. There's no other source before him. Now they're saying that God, the first source and center, is potential in the three great absolutes. So now we know that God isn't potential. He's not an experiential God, the first source and center. He's complete. He's perfect. But he also has different aspects. So when we talk about God, the absolute, apparently that part of God's nature is potential. We don't know, it's unqualified, but we don't really know if it's over, if it's complete. I think they're trying to tell us right here that it isn't. So they're saying the first source and center is potential in the three great absolutes. Potential, that's not complete. So you could say he hasn't reached his potential in the absolutes yet. Okay, and then I'll go on.
这第二句，第一本源与中心在三大绝对者中是潜在的。那么这三大绝对就是神灵绝对、无限定绝对和万有性绝对。那第一本源与中心就是它是父，它是原初之神嘛。那么它是绝对的，它是潜在的，就是它没有表现。那么在下一句相当于在就是天堂啊、上子啊、上灵，相当于都是从那个第一本源中心，然后演化出来的，就是表现出来的、彰显出来的。所以他说，就是这个现实的是相对于前面那个潜在的。潜在的这个地方实际上是一个原初的概念。
Okay, so the first source and center is potential in the three great absolutes, is actual in paradise, in the Son, and in the Spirit. So they're saying he's God, the first source and center God is potential in the three absolutes, but he's actual in paradise, the Son, and the Spirit. That's not potential, that's actual, that is what it is. It's not evolving, it's not changing, it's not unqualified, it's just perfect, and it is. That's actual. So there's different natures to God. God is everything. He's complete, he's perfect, but he has different, he's so immense, he's so complicated, he's so everything that he's got all his different aspects. So when it comes to the three absolutes, I don't know, the Almighty Absolute, God the Absolute,
It's the deity absolute, unqualified absolute, and the universal absolute.
Okay. The deity absolute, the unqualified absolute, and the universal absolute. I can never get my absolutes absolutely correct. So when it comes to them, he is potential. There's potential there. It may be just that we don't totally understand, no one else except for God can totally understand it. So as it unfolds to their understanding, I mean, when we get into God, the absolutes, we're in it's almost like quantum physics. It's like we get into like crazy land, like crazy weird stuff, like so far beyond our comprehension. But whatever it is, it's potential. There's potential there. It's not finished or set in stone or limited in any way. But when you talk about this Trinity and paradise, it is what it is. You could think of it as I don't know if it ever evolved or was just born perfect. It was probably created that way, but it's not changing. It's not, I mean, change doesn't, the word change doesn't really do justice to what I'm trying to say. But, and I can only try to understand what I'm saying. So basically, to make it really simple, they're saying God has an absolute, the first source and center, God has a part of his nature that's actual and a part of his nature that's potential. But God, the supreme, I went to one thing. But the supreme is both actual and potential, a being of personal supremacy and of almighty power, responsible like to creature effort and creative purpose, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying God has different aspects to his nature, but one might be actual, one might be potential, but the supreme is just both. He's actual and potential.
对，这第一句就是神既是那个阴又是那个阳啊，然后呢，阴的那一面是什么？潜在的，这是我自己对应的，这样好理解。阳的那一面彰显出来的就是天堂、上子、上灵、阴阳，反正无极生太极，太极生两仪，就这么往下慢慢的都那个，那就是至高者既是阳的现实的，又是阴的，又是潜在的。那么相当于就创造来说的话，那么就像那太极图一样，它就是有了阴阳了。那个圈儿，那个太极球，就相当于你就把它想成就是至高者，他就已经是在这个领域了，就能，它又是一个统一的。
Okay. So, but the supreme is built in a being of personal supremacy and of almighty power, a being of. See, this section is called the nature of the supreme. So they're trying to explain to us what this guy is like. Who is this guy? Okay, so that's what we're trying to figure out here. And this is the last sentence in this section. So if we can't figure out right now, we'll never get it.
He possessed 这个being of personal supremacy and of almighty power. Personal supremacy that corresponds to the God, a deity absolute, and almighty power that corresponds to unqualified absolute.
Well, the almighty power also correlates to the almighty supreme, right? I think that's the same thing. So that's one thing. But does it correspond to one of the absolutes, or does it correspond to it, because they're saying that the supreme being is actual and potential. So if it corresponds to one of the absolutes, it would be potential. But if it corresponds to someone in the Trinity or paradise, then it's actual. So they're saying it's both. So it probably corresponds to, wait, what do they say exactly? They say both the supreme is actual and potential, a being of personal supremacy and almighty power. Right. So one is probably actual and one is probably potential. A being of personal supremacy. So God the supreme, and of almighty power, the almighty supreme, responsive alike to create purpose, self-acting upon the universe, and self-reactive to the sum total of the universe. So that's where it gets really interesting. It's like self-acting upon the universe and self-reactive to the sum total of the universe. At the same time, this is what makes the supreme so hard to fathom. At the same time, he's acting on the universe. That means he's definitely having an effect on everything. But he's also reacting to the universe. So it's a very strange thing going on at this. It's like he's affecting us while we're affecting him.
他这句话是他能对受造物努力和造物者意图都同样做出回应，或者说这个在这个至高者神里边，那受造物和造物者能够就互相影响，我们影响造物者，造物者也能影响我们。
They're saying the last sentence, the deity of supremacy is thus expressive of the sum total of the entire finite. So you take everything in the grand universe and you mix it together, add it up, and you have the supreme being. He's reflecting all that there is, but only in the grand universe, which is, pretty big.
对，然后呢，就是他是至高造物者，同时又是至高受造物，然后他就相当于集大成者嘛，是指整个有限的总和，这个至高性神灵。
Okay, responsible. So they say responsive alike to creature effort and creator purpose. So they're saying that even though we're in it together, the creatures and the creators experiencing together, the creators have a purpose. They're more like guiding the effort. That's why they're called creators, right? The creator sons and daughters, the creative, the creative spirits. So they're saying that they have a purpose. They're kind of like our teachers. And then it says the creatures, the responsible like the creature creative purpose, creature effort. They're saying for us it's effort. They're teaching us and we're trying to learn. We're trying to get there. They keep teaching us, they keep guiding us, and we keep trying to get to the next step. And that duality, that combination of our effort and the creator's purpose is reflected in the supreme.
相当于造物者他有个意图，然后呢，受造物呢努力的回应这个意图，跟他就是去合作，就他是老师，我们是学生，我们是学习，我们是回应，然后就是共同达成这么一个共同的目标，然后这就是至高者就是这么来的。共同建造这个至高者的身体，完成的。
Okay, that's the nature of the supreme. Now we're going to read the source of evolutionary growth. And I'll be right back, okay?
我们先读中文吧，我们中文先读两段，然后他回来的话，就他读了英文就可以直接解释了，我们不用就读中文的翻译了。
进化性成长的源头，至高者是时间中的神，他的至高性是受造物在时间中成长的奥秘，他的至高性也是对不完美当下的征服，是对不断完美化未来的终结，而所有有限成长的最终成果是属灵大能，借助人格的统一化和创造性临在，通过心智而控制所有这一切成长的最终结果，就是至高存在者。对凡人来说， 存在就是相当于成长，即使在更大宇宙意义上，似乎也的确如此。因为属灵主导的存有，似乎确实会带来经验性成长、境界的提升。然而，我们长久以来一直坚信，现有的成长，它作为当前宇宙时代中塑造物存在的特征，是至高者的一种功能。我们同样坚信，这种成长是至高者成长时代所持有的，并且它将会随着至高者成长的完成而终结。OK， 到这边是吗 ？Ricky，
Heidi 回来没 ？Heidi, are you there yet?
那继续 OK 来。第三，考虑一下塑造物三位一体化之子的地位。他们在以前宇宙时代出生、生活，他们拥有人格，还有心智和属灵真理。他们拥有经验以及对其的记忆，但他们并不像扬升者那样成长。我们的信念和理解是，这些塑造物三位一体化之子，虽然他们是在当前宇宙时代中，但实际上属于下一个宇宙时代，至高者成长完满之后的时代。因此，就至高者当前的不圆满状态和随之而来的成长而言，他们并不在至高者中，因此他们不参与当前宇宙时代的经验性成长，而是为下一个宇宙时代做预备。All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, we read 3 paragraphs Chinese. So after you read English, we can just go interpret.
Yeah, that's good. I just had a realization that I want to share.
Yeah.
I wish Eric were here and I could show him what a realization actually is. Remember
Yeah, what's your realization?
Yeah, we had such a discussion about that word, but I have one right now that I'm going to share. And that is we're always saying do God's will, do God's will. That's the whole purpose, to try to do God's will, get closer. I just realized something really wonderful, and it's we're not supposed to do God's will. We're supposed to try to do God's will. Right?
然后呢，他说他突然悟到一点啊，跟大家分享。他说我们都说，哎呀，我们要照神的意愿行事啊。可是实际上，严格来讲，我们只是说，我们就是尝试的、试图、努力的想要去实行神的旨意。
So, in other words, we're judging ourselves all the time. Like, I did God's will, I didn't do God's will. I was wonderful, I was terrible, and I realized God doesn't look at it that way. All he cares about is that you're trying. That's it. He doesn't matter. He doesn't care if you win or lose a battle or a war or at your best or you're at your worst. But he cares very much that you want to be at your best, that you want to do the right thing, that you want to hear his voice. That he cares about. And if you try, whether you succeed or fail, because in my case, in 2 meetings I succeeded, in 1 meeting I failed. But that doesn't matter from God's point of view, because as far as he's concerned, I tried in all 3 meetings. And that made me closer to God.
对，他就说我们经常评判我们自己啊，你这件事做得好，那件事做得不好，可是实际上神更在乎的是我们做了尝试。对，就是我们这是属灵的征战，不是说我们一定要赢，而是只要我们做了尝试了， 尝试去做正确的事啊，我们就这些就已经算数了啊。虽然有可能我们在2件事上做的成功了，1件事上失败了，但是呢，只要我们做了这样的尝试，那么每一次都会使我们离神更近一些。
So when I went for my walk today, and I had to take my dog out before this meeting, this Urantia session. So I just thought, okay, I'll have a half hour. It's thunder. It's going to rain any minute, but I have to do it because it'll be too late later. So I'm just going to go for it and hope I don't get soaking wet. Well, when I went to the park, as I told you, I only went halfway. I was going to go around this big loop, and I still would have been home in time. But I went halfway, and I just heard a little voice say, "Turn back right now." And I thought, well, I'm going to turn back right now. So I turned around, went right home, and as soon as I got on my porch, the moment I got on my porch, it started pouring rain. So what I'm saying is that I feel a little bit closer to God because of the things I just experienced, not because I did so well, but because I tried so hard. So those things make you a little bit closer to God, and you can hear his voice a little better.
对，像今天他就是在我们那个学习，之前呢，他要去遛遛狗嘛，遛遛狗呢，那个附近的公园儿，然后今天就是有打雷啊，但是他就想赶快去遛狗，遛回来，然后准备我们的学习。然后走到一半儿呢，就有一个相当于就是里边就有一个提醒说回去啊，转回身回去，然后他就遵照这种提醒就回来，然后刚走到前廊，然后就下了非常大的雨，就一下子就下了。所以呢，就是如果经常就是跟内在反正连接吧，就是你就会比较敏感对这种提醒。
So when I say get closer to God, I want to explain that because people might not know what I mean. I mean it's the same way you'd get closer to a friend, right? And you get to know them better, you understand them better, you love them more. That's all it means. You actually can get closer to God. You can keep getting closer to God. There's no limit to how close you can get to God. Like I can get I'll be 1,000,000 times closer than I am today, someday.
跟神逐渐变得更近，就没有一个极限哈，就像是你跟一个朋友慢慢的更接近，慢慢的更了解他，就是跟神走得更近，还是没有一个尽头的。你都可以有一天可能比现在更好，上百万倍的跟神更接近。
When we merge with our thought adjusters, we are part God, and God is part us. We can't get too much closer. I mean, even then we'll get closer, but we're when we say the Supreme is truth, beauty, and goodness, it's not just getting close to it or in goodness or reflecting it. He is it. He is it. Just like a rainbow is beauty, and when we merge with our thought adjusters, we are God, and God is us. I mean, we still have a long way to go in our journey towards perfection, but at that point, we have become one with our thought adjusters, which is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
对，当我们跟思想调整者融合以后，我们就是是神，神也是我们，然后呢，神的至高者他不是体现真美善嘛，然后 等就是有一天达至圆满，它本身就是真美善的一个体现和彰显嘛。那对啊，当然我们都走在这通往这个完美的路上。
So last thing on the realization. So don't worry so much if you pass or fail, if you do good or you fall short. Don't worry so much. We get so obsessed with grading ourselves. God doesn't grade us or rate us or judge us the way we judge and rate and grade ourselves. He doesn't. He has a completely different way of looking at it. So just go easy on yourself and just, hey, I tried. You know, I'm just going to keep trying. That's it. That's all you can do. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't waste energy hating yourself or worry about what's going to happen or the horrible consequences of things might change. You don't know what's going to happen next. There's no reason to worry about it when you don't know what's going to happen next.
对，就是这个政务嘛。那他就是说，神不是那么给我们打分啊，就是像我们有的时候评判我们自己那样去评判我们，只要我们就是真心的做了尝试，这就是算得的。不要去因为什么后果呀，或者是怎么样。万一好像嫌弃我们自己，或者是担心什么事情，或者是就是恐惧什么后果，反正 anyway 就是在主里边就安心吧。
Ricky, do we have another person with us today?
上善若水啊，对。Yeah, this lady has been here, I think, at least once.
And what is her name?
赏心悦目，你有什么英文名字啊？你有什么英文名字吗？你可以搁在后头写上一个英文名字吗？her Chinese, I don't know. She didn't have a name there.
Oh, what did it say in Chinese?
With a grateful heart, with a joyful eyes, something like that.
Oh, that's beautiful. All right. Well, welcome, grateful heart.
Grateful heart. 赏心，我是说你有一个懂得感恩的心，那个赏心，我给翻译成这个。
Okay, I'm going to read The Source of Evolutionary Growth. Oof. Okay, I'm going to read and then I'm going to read the first three paragraphs and then translate. The Supreme is God in time. His is the secret of creature growth in time. His also is the conquest of the incomplete present and the consummation of the perfecting future. And the final fruits of all finite growth are power controlled through mind, by spirit, by virtue of the unifying and creative presence of personality. The culminating consequence of all this growth is the Supreme Being. And I'll just read the three. To mortal man, existence is equivalent to growth. And so indeed it would seem to be, even in the larger universe sense, for spirit-led existence does seem to result in experiential growth. Augmentation of status. We have long held, however, that the present growth which characterizes creature existence in the present universe age is a function of the Supreme. we equally hold that this kind of growth is peculiar to the age of the growth of the Supreme, and that it will terminate with the completion of the growth of the Supreme. And then I read one more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consider the status of the creature trinitized sons.
You don't need to read that many. You can explain that and then
Okay,
read the.
I know, it's pretty tricky stuff. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna try not to take too long. Okay, so the Supreme is God in time. That's okay. His is the secret of creature growth. Okay, that's what they're telling us again and again and again. The finite, the Supreme is God, but he's the experiential God. So another way of saying it, God in time, because it's a finite. The grand universe is finite. That's a time-space reality.
哦，对，反正就是神至高者，他是时空之神嘛，在有限时空当中的神。
And remember, the Supreme is all about experiencing the finite reality. So his is the secret of creature growth in time. So he's a God in time, and he's the secret of creature growth in time. So our growth in the grand universe, that's his secret need. It's just a cute way of saying his is the secret of creature. So he also represents our growth in time, because we're in a time-space universe that God isn't, but we are.
对，我们就是时空当中的造物嘛。那我们能够在时间中成长，也是由于这个至高者神的存在。
I mean, this sentence is just it's when sometimes the Urantia book really uses words beautifully and poetically. I'm giving just a coarse explanation of what it's actually saying, but the way it's saying it is really beautiful. I mean, when you say the Supreme is God in time, his is the secret of creature growth in time. His also is the conquest of the incomplete present and the consummation of the perfecting future. I mean, that's just beautiful writing. So I'm not trying to translate it take the time to translate the beauty of the writing. I'm just trying to say what it means. But I should just mention that we can appreciate the beauty of this writing too, because sentences like this are really, really well written and original and poetic.
就是原文啊，我们不是英文的本来说英文的，但是他就说这个原文他是讲的，表述的非常的有诗意。
It's actually harder to translate because it's so poetical.
就这种诗意，就是有的时候很难把它翻译表达的很贴切。
And then, then they say his also is the conquest of the incomplete present and the consummation of the perfecting future. So remember, we were just talking about incompleteness before and saying that when you're in time and space and you're reaching for perfection, you're going to be incomplete. Remember, they were talking about the fetters of incompleteness and the vicissitudes of time, and basically telling us we're going to have problems along the way, and it's creature effort and creator purpose and all this. So they're saying it again in another way. They're saying his also is the conquest of the incomplete present and the consummation of the perfecting future. Because when the Supreme consummates his nature, that will be when all the 7 grand super universes achieve light and life, balance, perfection. We're no longer struggling or evolving. We arrive at a very balanced, beautiful place. So the Supreme that's when he consummates. So he's already reflecting that consummation of when he attains himself completely. when the universe, but he's also reflecting this growth, this incompleteness, this evolution, this experience of going to perfection.
对，前面他就提到上一节提到不圆满的锁链嘛，枷锁嘛，那就这个地方这个至高性，它的至高性也是对不完满当下的征服，那也是就是跟前面哈，就是打破那个枷锁，实际上是一个意思。你只要不完满，那么它就是不自由嘛。它就是有困难有挑战嘛，所以呢，这个至高性就是对这种不完满当下的征服，然后呢，对着将未来来说呢，是对不断完美化未来的终结。那么，当7个超级宇宙都锚定在光与生命当中，我们就各个方面达到一种平衡完美，那就是一个完美。未来的终结。
So, and the final fruits of all finite growth are, okay, so the final fruits of all finite growth, there's an expression, the fruits of your labor. So the final fruits of all your growth means the reward at the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So what do you get for all your work? What do you get for all this effort? That's what they mean. The final fruits of all finite growth are, this is what you get. You get power controlled through mind, by spirit, by virtue of the unifying and creative presence of personality. Okay, that's a lot to digest, but I think I got it.
Yeah, very condensed.
Yeah, that's saying a lot in that sentence, but they're basically saying, it's actually quite wonderful. They're saying, what do you get? You get power controlled through mind. Let's just take that. Remember, mind over matter. So the mind, when you get in tuned, when you get lined up, aligned, when your faith is strong, when you're more spiritually balanced, you can control matter with your mind. You can control power with your mind. In other words, you can control your own actions. When you can control your actions, you're getting somewhere. Because one famous person said it's harder to control your own emotions than to control the whole world.
对。然后呢，这个最后这一句呢，就是所有有限成长的最终成果。然后这个地方他说 final fruits 嘛，成果就是一个奖赏，一个走到这个隧道尽头的奖赏哈，雨后见彩虹那个最后这个达到了一个什么状态呢？就是能够属灵大能，能够借助人格的统一化和创造性临在，通过心智而控制。那么就是相当于叫 mind over matter， 就是心智控制物质，控制这个能量，能够心智哈，能够控制行动控制情绪都是这种，就是你能够达到这样的掌控了。它最后一句是说，如果你能够控制你的情绪，你就能够掌控整个世界。
Remember, all
控制你的情绪，控制你的行动，对，就能够控制世界。就是这样，就是你这心智的控制能力是这么重要。
Okay, remember all physical matter, and that includes gravity, energy, all these energies, everything that it all comes from paradise, and paradise energies and matter are created or somehow come from God or from the Trinity, probably the Trinity. And but they're not a person. Paradise isn't a person. The infinite spirit, the eternal son, God, people. Paradise, place where all the energy comes from. So it makes sense that mind over matter, because it's like a person is, so okay, but I have to back up, because it says power controlled through mind by spirit. Okay, so it's not the mind controlling power, it's the mind is the mechanism. The spirit uses the mind to control power. The spirit can't control power because they're two different. Physical and spiritual, they're two different. They need something in between them, a tool. Mind is like a tool that your spirit uses, or if you're very unevolved, like a mortal, you might have your ego might be using it, or your lower urges and desires or whatever, but you want your spirit. You want your spirit to start using your mind. Your spirit can't communicate with the rest of you without a mind. So if you want to control your actions, you do it through your mind. And if you want to make good choices, you let your spirit work through your mind.
对，他要就是回去一下，就是前面我们说心智控制物质，那么实际上在更高一层，它是属灵通过心智来掌控物质，那么心智就相当于一个机制，一个工具，在属灵和物质之间然后呢，如果当然我们也可以用为我们的小我呀，我们的欲望啊，去控制我们的心智，但是如果我们用属灵来控制我们的心智，我们就容易做正确的决定。
They're telling us in that one sentence, they're telling us how to become perfect. How do we work out all our problems? How do we, they've been telling us what we do. We all become perfect. We all go through these challenges. This sentence is telling us how we do it. And it's really amazing sentence. So they're telling us that the secret to all of this is to control matter. And that includes, I believe, that includes your urges, your desires, your impulses, your habits, all these things that are not spiritual, that are not connected to your personality. They're just evolved like from your culture, your parents, wherever you pick them up. They're not high spiritual realities. So now they say you want to control the secret is to power controlled through mind by spirit. There's one more thing, by virtue of the unifying and creative presence of personality. What do they mean by that? They mean your spirit. Let's say we're talking, I mean, you can put this on so many levels, but let's say we're talking right here on earth and we're talking about our thought adjuster. Well, that thought adjuster can lead us and guide us, but only if we will it. It can't make us do anything. Can't use our mind to control anything unless we will that. And where is our will? It's in our personality. Each one of us has a unique personality, a gift of God, and our free will is connected somehow to that personality. It's my choice to do this. It's my mind is more like a tool, computer that's given to me so I can communicate with my spirit, so I can control my body. But my will, the part of me that makes the decisions to do God's will or not do God's will, to get closer to God or further from God, that's my personality. That's uniquely mine. No one has the same personality in all of the universe of universes.
Yeah. So long.
I can break it down if you want.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
对，就是掌控物质的秘密哈。我们当然也可以，就是有时候冲动来掌控啊，或者那些文化给我们带来的那些信念来掌控啊。而没有用那个属灵的实相去掌控我们的心智。然后思想调整者他是愿意给我们提供指导，但是呢，只有在我们愿意把这个指导权给他的时候，而这个愿意这个自由意志，它是从人格来的。那么我们的人格是在宇宙当中是独一无二的。我愿意做什么，是我的选择，我可以控制我的物质实相，这个就是从我的自由意志，它是可以来这个通过这个心智的机制来进行创造啊。
Well, we knew that was a big sentence.
Yeah, but we have repeated this mechanism a long time, so it's not that hard.
We what?
We have learned this many times.
Yeah. I mean, you mean the book talks about these things. Yeah.
From the book.
And I was just talking about it because my realization was about the same thing. It was about controlling myself with using my mind to choose my spirit, to control my actions. It's really the same story. And
That's true.
we're not, it's the hardest thing to do. When we all learn to do it, the Supreme will come into action, will actualize, the universes will be balanced, we'll all be enlightened life. I mean, it's going to take a long time for all of us to do that, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to let our spirits lead us through our minds over matter. And that's why Jesus said he said this thing, and it's so strange, and he said, if your faith were strong, you could move that mountain, easily move that mountain. And that's the same thing. It's like your mind has the capability, but you have to be so tuned into your spirit to do it, right? Because spirit is so much more powerful than mind, and that mind is so much more powerful than matter, that a mountain is matter. With your mind, led by your spirit, you can move that mountain, but we don't believe it. If we believed it, we could do it.
耶稣曾经说过，如果你的信心够强大，你可以把这座山都挪走。那么这样的心智的力量怎么来的？它得就是跟这个属灵完全去调频哈，还有这样的大能。那么因为这个山代表的是物质，就是我们心智完全能够掌控物质，对，但是就通过，实际上的源头它是属灵，它跟属灵协调一致了，它就有这样的大能，并且是我们的信作为媒介。
So what? I keep saying. So while we're trying to do this, to tune into our spirits and control matter through our minds, while we're doing that, we're evolving. That's what we're doing. We're getting better and better at it. Year after year after year, billions of years after billions. Well, I don't even know how many years, but a lot, millions of years at least. And so it says the culminating consequence of all this growth is the Supreme Being. When it's all done, just like I said, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. When you work really, really hard at something, what do you get? You get a degree, you get a certificate, you get a title. Now you're Dr. Ricky's a doctor. Dr. Ricky is a NNMD. She's a doctor, philosophical doctor, and a medical doctor. So she's doctor. So you get rewarded when you work really hard at something for a long time, you get something. And when the universe finally gets to light and life, guess what we get? We get the supreme being. We get our own God. That's what we get.
最后一句就是所有这一切成长的最终结果就是至高存在者。我们都能够达到这样的层次，都能够娴熟的用这个属灵能够通过心智来掌控物质。那么这三者这种协调平衡了统一了，那么就是成长达到结果，那么结出的果实就是至高存在者。
So that's the reward of the universes. When we finally make it, there, the supreme being will be our God and will be complete. And okay, I just said that twice, but I'm just saying it.
是我们得到的奖赏，也是一个完成的标志。
I think I have to read the second paragraph, right?
Second paragraph, you already read it.
Okay, and that will terminate the completion of this. Okay, good. Now I have to read the third one. Okay, consider the status of the creature trinitized sons.
No, you haven't interpreted the second.
Oh, I read it, but I didn't interpret it. Okay, that's why I was kind of confused about that one. All right. To mortal man, existence is equivalent to growth. Okay, to mortal man, that's us. Existence, okay, is equivalent to growth. Okay, that's interesting. They're saying just by existing, we're growing. We can't not be growing if you're mortal. But I mean, I think you cannot grow in some ways, but then I think you die. And I don't think you go to heaven. I think your soul dies. So basically, well, let me read the next sentence before I interpret it. And so indeed, it would seem to be, even in the larger universe sense, for spirit-led existence does seem to result in experiential growth, augmentation of status. So spirit-led existence does seem to result in experiential growth. Okay, so they're saying mortal man existence is equivalent to growth. So I think maybe they mean, I'm not really sure, but I think maybe they mean with mortal man, you start as a baby and you grow, right? You're always growing and changing physically. So it's like you can't be here without growing smarter, growing wiser, growing more experienced, growing up, growing bigger. You know, I think that's what they're saying. And then they're saying, and so it would seem to be, even in the larger universe sense, for spirit-led existence does seem to result in experiential growth, augmentation of status. So they're saying, even if you're a spirit, you're spirit-led, you're still growing with experience. Just experiencing, just being experiential, experiencing existence in the universe, it would seem to, even a large universe, but spirit-led existence does seem to result in experiential growth, augmentation of status. So you don't just evolve and experience, even if you're not immortal, if you're like an angel or a high spiritual being, if you're in the finite world. But they say augmentation of status. So you get rewarded along the way. You become a higher, angels become, the cherubim become seraphim, a non-index sun becomes there's like a third level, a second level, and a first level, and your augmentation of status. So even Jesus, he becomes sovereign of the at some point after he has his final bestowal, a life lived among mortals, only then, after he experiences 7 bestowals on different worlds, being different creatures, inhabiting, the body of different creatures in his creation, then he becomes sovereign of the universe. That's an augmentation of status. He wasn't sovereign before. He was the creator of the universe and he was the manager, but he wasn't the sovereign. So he gets an augmentation of status. So they're saying everyone, whether you're a spirit or a person, if you're experiencing stuff in the finite universe, you're growing, you're evolving, and your status is growing also.
就是长了经验了，你的地位就提高嘛。像天使，他们也是什么从小天使，然后成长大天使。那么耶稣他本来不，基督迈克尔之子，他造我们宇宙是是我们宇宙的创造者。但是呢，他只有经过那7次赠予之后呢，他才成为当权主权者，是这个地方宇宙的主权者，就地位也提高了。就是就着那一句augmentation of status 才举出一些的这种地位提高的例子。那么就是这句是因为属灵主导的存在似乎确实会带来经验性成长，也就是境界的提高，应该是地位的提高。我觉得不是境界的提高，是地位的提高。
The last sentence in this paragraph is something that they tell us now and then when they're talking about the Supreme, and it's pretty hard to grasp, but what they're okay, so they're saying we have long held, however, that the present growth which characterizes creature existence in the present universe age is a function of the Supreme. So they're saying everything I just said about growing, evolving, augmentation of status, they're saying all this stuff is not necessarily true for every level of reality or the outer universes that are forming or the central universe. It's a function of the Supreme. They're saying that everything, see, this is why it's hard to understand. They're saying that everything that's happening in the grand universe, it's not necessarily going to happen again. It's not going to, the grand universe is going to be light and life, and then we'll have the Supreme. Then there'll be outer universes, and they'll have their supreme beings, and there's gods, and they're saying this might be unique. This is how I read it, because it's really hard to know what they're saying. But this is how I'm reading it. I think they're trying to say, don't think this is just the way things are. Your whole growth, your individual growth, your planetary growth, your local universe growth, your super universe growth, the growth of all the 7 super universes, this is a function of the Supreme. The Supreme is like making all this happen or somehow involved in all of this happening. Like this is his nature. This is what the Supreme is about, this evolution. But it's not, I don't know if they never say there's going to be other Supreme gods after this one. We may be in a time-space grand universe. After this, things may change. The outer universes may be completely different. You know, the central universe, there's only one. There will never be another one. It's perfect, and that's how it is. Well, I think it's the same for the grand universes. There's one grand universe. It's 7 super universes. They are what they are, and things are going to be very different after this point.
不知道他在讲什么。然后I don't get what's your point.
Yeah, well, that's why I said it's really hard, but they do say it now and then. Let me see if I can make it. The way they describe it all the time when we're reading about the Supreme is, this is what evolution is, this is what experience is, this is how we all work in here in the grand universe, and these are the rules, these are the laws. But every now and then they say, this is just happening because this one guy, this supreme God, this is how he works. This isn't a law of nature. This isn't a rule of God. Like, there may be billions of mortals out in this outer universes someday forming. They might not have a supreme God. They might not have the same relationship to evolution and to experience. I think they're trying to tell us that this is a unique thing that's happening once in this universe age, in this time, with this supreme God. Does that make sense?
针对这一段最后一句，他就说有可能就是这个至高者，他就是在这个当前宇宙时代，它是这个当前宇宙时代这么很独特的这么一个特征，就是包括我们的进化呀、成长啊，就是对它这个只是属于这个一个宇宙时代。
It's like it's so hard to be objective or to see when you're in something, right? If you go to another planet and look at Earth, you'll have a very different idea about what this planet is like. But we're in it. It's all we know. It's our reality. So we take things for granted and we can't see it objectively. But the trick here, the giveaway here is that they start this sentence with, we have long held. And then they say it, and then they go, we equally hold that this kind of growth is peculiar to the age of the growth of the Supreme, and that it will terminate with the completion of the growth of the Supreme. Now they're saying we further hold. What that means is we are speculating. We, these super high spiritual beings who wrote this book, we don't know. It's our guess. We think this is just going to happen once. This is peculiar. That this kind of growth is peculiar to the age of the growth of the Supreme. They're saying this universe age may never happen again. It's like on our planet. Okay, let's take our planet. The dinosaurs, they came and they went. We're never going to have dinosaurs again. We're never going to have huge animals with little heads as tall as the trees. It came and it went. That's what they're trying to say. This isn't going to keep happening in the outer universe. So when you go out, because that's our destiny, they think, that's another speculation. They think that someday, a billion years from now, we're going to go out and help form universes in the outer universes. That's what they think our destiny is. But they're saying, even if we do that, don't expect it to be like this one. They're saying this is unique. This is the Supreme. It's a God. He's all about experience, but it's peculiar to this universe age. That's what they're saying. This isn't going to just other levels of reality aren't going to be like this one. The ultimate, the absolutes, the outer universes. No, this is just us right now, right here.
他就说在强调，这个他写作者他就是说，我们坚信，我们还坚信，就是他坚信啥，就是说明这是他猜测的啊。他猜测的呢，就是相当于，这种至高者啊，跟我们这个宇宙时代的关系啊，这是非常的特别的。那么千万亿年以后，这个我们开始去开拓外层，空间宇宙的时候，不见得还是用的这样的一个模式。反正这个宇宙时代，至高者，这都是我们这宇宙时代特别有的。
Okay, so I could think of a million analogies, but I won't. But I will say we better enjoy it. This is a unique reality we're living in, and it's hard. It's very hard, full of challenges. We will have to put out a lot of effort, but it's going to be very rewarding for us. And later, when it's all done, And a billion years later, when we're up in paradise, hanging out with God and going out in the outer universes and making new universes and stuff, we're going to look back with great fondness for this age of the Supreme, that we got to participate in the making of a God. We got to be part of the creation of a God, and a God's got to be part of our creation. And that God's never going to die. The Supreme is always going to be around. There's only one. There's only one Supreme Being. And we are a part of that. I mean, the Supreme is so amazing, they can't possibly convey to us how amazing it is in this book.
对，这我们现在就生活在这样的一个实相当中，然后充满了挑战，要付出很大的努力。有一天，当我们到天堂岛了，跟父同在，然后去参与创造新的宇宙了，然后也不会相当于就是我们现在至高存在者的这个宇宙时代，也是对我们来说也是很重要的，我们的经验的一部分。我们成为这个至高者之神的一个组成部分，我们参与了这个神的成长，我们也成为他的一部分。
So it's almost like a big experiment that's never happened before and will never happen again, but is definitely going to work out in the end, because they never say maybe the Supreme's gonna, maybe the grand universe will be settled in light and life, maybe the Supreme will be the culmination of your growth towards light and life and perfection. And they always say this is what's happening, it's going to work out. It's like a great big experiment, but we already know how it's going to end. It's going to end very well. But it's exciting that we're allowed to be part of this, because there's a lot of magic involved in the Supreme.
对，我们现在就像参与这样一个实验一样，就早晚都会，结局都会很好的，然后有很多的奇迹会出现在这个进化过程当中，进化成长过程当中。Okay, third.
Okay, consider the status of the creature trinitized sons. They are born and live in the present universe age. They have personalities together with mind and spirit endowments. They have experiences and the memory thereof, but they do not grow as do ascenders. It is our belief and understanding that these creature trinitized sons, while they are in the present universe age, are really of the next universe age, the age which will follow the completion of the growth of the Supreme. Hence, they are not in the Supreme as his present status of incompleteness and consequent growth. Thus, they are non-participating in the experiential growth of the present universe age, being held in reserve for the next universe age. Wow, that's cool. Oh, you already read it, so I can translate. Okay, so the creature trinitized sons, anything that's like a trinitized this or trinitized that, means that they were embraced by the Trinity. So when you get embraced by the Trinity, something happens to you. It's like being kissed by God. You know, it's like you become more godly, more perfect. It's a very, very high, elevating honor. It sends you to the next level of your evolution, right? It's a big deal. You become like anyone who's trinitized is a very high spiritual being.
三位一体化之子一沾到三位一体化之子，那么就是他们就相当于从三位一体直接招来的。那么 就是被神吻过的，他们更神圣、更完美，然后有很高的荣誉。
They're talking about the creature trinitized sons because they're trying to explain to us how unique this universe age is with our collaboration with the Supreme Being. We're helping the Supreme become the Supreme is helping us evolve. It's a collaboration, it's a group effort. And they're saying that what I said a minute ago, which is the next universe age isn't going to be like this one. It's going to be completely different. That's what they're saying we hold. When they say we hold, it means we speculate. We're not saying we know or we think. They're saying we hold, we believe, we've thought it over, we've hashed it out, and we've come to this conclusion. That's what they're saying. So they're giving us an example of the creature trinitized beings, because they're saying even though they may be born in this age and they may live in the grand universe, or they're not part of the Supreme. They're not contributing to the Supreme. They're not like all of you guys, like the rest of us, being this experiential reality that's going to end up with the Supreme Being, and that we're going to all be part of it. It's going to be part of us, and that will never happen again. Their part, because they were Trinity embraced, that takes them away from the time-space finite universe. They're already in the next reality. So in the next reality, after the grand universe is completed and the Supreme Being is completed, there isn't going to be this whole experiential thing. Might not change anyone. It's not going to be like this. So creature trinitized. Okay, I should probably let you translate some of that.
比如说当时一说 we hold， 就是 we speculate， 就是我们猜测，我们相信啊。然后呢，这一段呢2.3这一段就讲那个塑造物三位一体化之子呢，他不贡献给这个，就他的成长经验，他不贡献给这个正在形成的进化的至高存在者。然后因为它是三位一体来源的，所以它就是跟有限实相不沾边儿了。那么它在这个大宇宙的进化完成以后，大概就是参与到下一个宇宙时代，就是这些塑造物三位一体之子，他的地位，他不参与这个当前的宇宙时代，但是参与到下一个宇宙时代。
So creature trinitized sons are, if I remember correctly, they're when mighty messengers or mortals who have made it to the mortal core of finaliters, they're called the mortal core of finality. When mortals have become finalized or in this finaliters, sometimes they're able to create new beings. It's just in between Earth and then, which is way later, when we're finalists, we don't create anyone. We're not mating. Maybe we have love interests, partners, I don't know, but we're not mating. We're not creating beings. The next time we get to do that is when we're finaliters. And it's a whole thing, which I don't think I'll go into right now, how you do that. But if you often fail, it's very hard to do. If you succeed, this new being comes into existence. And this is a creature trinitized being. I think that's what they're talking about. I know these beings exist. And I think they get embraced by the Trinity. They're very special beings, and they have a lot of knowledge. But what they're saying is they're not like us. They don't experience the way we do. They don't evolve the way we do. They're saying, consider the status of the creature trinitized sons. They are born and live in the present universe age. Okay, there's probably some being born right now on way up wherever the finaliters live in the finaliter planet.
Are you at a 2.3 or 2.4?
I'm at the one that begins with consider the status of the creature trinitized sons.
Okay.
So
Finaliter, you're talking about 2.4, the next, my own order.
okay, I haven't even been there.
Yeah.
Which will be good. So they're born in the present universe age. They have personalities. So they're beings just like anyone else, together with mind and spirit endowments. Okay. They have experiences and the memory there. So this is where it gets tricky. They have experiences and the memory thereof. So they experience things and they remember these experiences. But I'm screaming. But they do not grow as do ascenders. Now, I think that's the same as all the beings in the central universe. I've thought about this a bit because they don't evolve. They're perfect. They're like created perfect. So they don't evolve, but they do experience things, right?
Yeah.
They don't just sit in a cave and never do anything. They run around and do things and make things and have all kinds of, and they remember their experiences, but they don't grow from it because they're already perfect. They're already complete. We're all about growing and becoming complete. They're born complete. So that's what they're saying. They don't grow as do ascenders. It is our belief and understanding that these creature trinitized sons, while they are in the present universe age, they are not really they're of the next. So they're saying they're not part of the supreme. They don't contribute to the supreme because the supreme is all about growth, experience, and growing from it.
Yeah.
These guys experience, but they don't grow from it. So they're probably, they live in this universe age, but they're not of this universe age.
对，那么这个三位一体来源受到三位一体化之子哈，他们就像那个中央宇宙的其他造物一样，他们不进化，他们是完美的造物，虽然他们可以有就是长经验，但是他们不已经完美了嘛，他们不成长不像我们这些养生者一样成长，所以呢，他们可以生活在目前的宇宙时代，但是它不属于现在的宇宙时代。
So that's helping us to understand what this whole supreme. They're saying it's not just a time and a place like the grand universe. It's also a reality. The whole idea of supremacy and time, a finite universes and growing in time and space is a certain reality. And that's happening here, but it may not, it's not the same, it's not always going to be this reality. I mean, it'll always exist. It'll always be like, it'll be part of our journeys. Anyone who lives in this time and space will be part of the supreme will be part of them. They will have experience. I mean, but then they'll go to another reality afterwards, and it's going to be very different.
But so they live in this universe age, but they don't belong.
Well, put it this way. Let's say you grow up in a town. You're born there, you grow up there, you're of that town. That formed you. That's who you are. You're part of that town. You helped make that town. because the people in a town help make the culture of the town, just like the culture of the town helps make the people. So it's very much like the Supreme. Now, if you move to that town from China or from Chicago, you're living in that town, you're part of the town, but you're not of the town. You don't have that unique culture that you'd have if you were born and raised there. So that's what they're saying. They're part of it. They're living here, they're part of it, but they're not of it. They're of a different place, different time, different reality.
就是说，举例的话，一个人在一个小镇长大，但是呢，长大之后他就去到别的地方了，不是那个小镇的一部分了，如果是还在那小镇的居民，那么他就是那个的一部分，已经不在那儿了，那么就不算是那个小镇的一部分。
Okay, reality in the Supreme of his present status of incompleteness. Thus they are not.
Maybe I don't think we are able to finish.
No, but I would like to read the next paragraph because I'm really curious about what it says.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe next two paragraph.
Yeah, just those, and then we can wrap it up. Hence they are not in the Supreme. Okay, so and I'll read the next two, and then Anne, if you're still with us, you can read them in Chinese. Okay, my own order, the mighty messengers. Now remember, that's what we're going to become because we're Agandanters. My own order, the mighty messengers. That means he was an Agandanter. He came from a rebellion planet, just like we did. Being Trinity embraced, are non-participating in the growth of the present universe age. Wow, I didn't know that. In a sense, we are in status as of the preceding universe age, as in fact are the stationary sons of the Trinity. One thing is certain, our status is fixed by the Trinity embrace, and experience no longer eventuates in growth. Wow, I didn't know that with the mighty messengers. Okay, this is not true of the finaliters. Oh, all right. This is not true of the finaliters, nor of any other of the evolutionary and experiential orders which are participants in the growth process of the Supreme. You mortals now living on Urantia, you may aspire to paradise attainment and finaliter status, should understand that such a destiny is only realizable because you are in and of the Supreme. Hence are participants in the cycle of the growth of the Supreme. Okay.
他说我自己的类别是强大使者，为三位一体所包含，不参与当前宇宙时代的成长。在某种意义上，我们的地位与前一个宇宙时代相同。事实上，我们是三位一体常辈之子。有一件事是确定的，我们的地位因为三位一体包含而固定下来，经验不再终归为成长。对于终局者以及任何其他参与至高者成长过程的进化性、经验性类别而言，就不是这样了。你们这些现在生活在月亮下上的凡人，如果想往达到天堂岛和终局者地位，就应该明白，这样的天命之所以可以实现，只因为你们是在至高者之中，也属于至高者，因此是至高者成长周期的参与者。
Wow. Okay. Okay. So, okay.
Mighty messenger and the finalite, they are not the same, huh?
No, that's why I'm confused because they are in the core of they are finaliters. They are in the mortal core finality. They're just a unique group because they're agandanters. They come from a rebellion planet and they had faith without being, they saw without being shown. So they had faith and belief in God without being shown the way a more evolved planet is, or the way a planet is with a planetary prince and an Adam and Eve and higher celestial beings ruling the planet. They're like us. They came from a planet where everything went wrong and everything was chaos, and they didn't really get to see anyone godlike or have that connection, have that role model, have that structure, have, an orderly planet. So they become finaliters, everything else, but then they have the choice, then they become mighty messengers. It's a special type of being because they already passed the test of time. They already, as a mortal, had faith without being shown. So they are finaliters. They're just a unique group of finaliters.
对，他也觉得很奇怪，因为这两段嘛，强大使者其实是终局者当中的一个特别的类别，那么他们是这个，所谓那个坚定不移者，就是在一些的，堕落星球成长起来的，没有看见神，但是又相信神，然后经历了信心的考验和试炼，然后就是相当于有特别的信心，然后就变成这强大使者。
Now, it's odd that they say this is not true of the finaliters, nor of any other. So that makes it sound like the mighty messengers aren't finaliters, right? So I must be wrong about that. But I thought I knew, but maybe they're not finaliters, because why else would they say this is not true of the finaliters? If I was right, they would say this is not true of other finaliters, but they're not using the word other. They're acting like finaliters and mighty messengers are different. So I guess if you become a mighty messenger, you're not a finaliter, I guess. But it's similar.
说按这个语言的意思，好像强大使者又不属于这个终局者当中的一言。
And also they're acting like we're going to become finaliters, and according to what I read before, we're agandantas, so we're going to become mighty messengers. So I'm a little confused about this part, because it's not going along with the things I thought I knew from this book.
他就是2.5那意思，就是对着说话我们，对，他把我们归到这个终局者里边。
But I can still explain what it's saying. And my own order, mighty messengers, being Trinity embraced, are non-participating in the growth of the present universe age. In a sense, we are in status as of the preceding universe age, as in fact are the stationary sons of the Trinity. One thing is certain, our status is fixed by the Trinity embrace, and experience no longer eventuates in growth. So, you know what? They may become finaliters and then get embraced by the Trinity and become mighty messengers, and they're no longer finaliters. That could explain it. That's just a guess.
他就猜想，也有可能就是这终局者，然后对三位一体化了，然后才成为强大使者，所以才有别于这个最后那个才最后下边那一段那终局者。
So this is not true of the finaliters, nor of any other of the evolutionary experiential orders which are participants in the growth process of the Supreme. You mortals now living on Urantia, that's us, who may aspire to paradise attainment and finaliter status, should understand that such a destiny is only realizable because you are in and of the Supreme. Hence are participants in the cycle of the growth of the Supreme. Hence are participants in the cycle of growth.
这一段我还 OK，I'll read Chinese。对于终局者以及任何其他参与至高者成长过程的进化性、经验性类别而言，就不是这样了。你们这些现在生活在月亮下的凡人，如果想往达到天堂岛和终局者地位，就应该明白，这样的天命之所以可以实现，只因为你们是在至高者之中，也属于至高者，因此是至高者成长周期的参与者。
I think maybe this mighty messenger was part of the Supreme, but then once he was embraced by the Trinity, he's more like more like a being that's of the central universe, or a Trinity origin being. He's no longer a kind of a part of this evolving grand universe, because he's kind of made perfect by this Trinity embrace. So I think that maybe he's saying he was part of it, the growth of the Supreme, but then once he was embraced by the Trinity, he stopped growing from experience. He became like perfect in a way, like a Trinity origin being like complete. So now he's not participating in the Supreme, but maybe he was before, because I don't know where else he would have come from. I mean, we're going to have to read up on all this, but I'm pretty sure mighty messengers, I'm almost positive mighty messengers are mortals, and who go and they meet God and they become Painaz and find, I mean, they're previous mortals.
对，他说他是很记得的，好像开纳使者曾经就是凡人，然后他们从凡人终局者团队那个成长起来，然后被三位一体包含，然后那么他认为强大使者可能之前应该也是这个至高者的一部分，但是呢，因为被三位一体包含，然后就相当于从那个就不再属于这个至高者，因为他的经验不再终归为成长，所以他从那个里边出来，就是成为他说这个三位一体常辈之子，反正就跟下一段讲的就不大一样，That's okay. Okay, so we can stop right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow, it's difficult content.
Yeah. The source of evolutionary growth. Yeah, this isn't easy.
好的。Okay.
All right, beautifuls.
Thank you. So we are going to stop 2 weeks and we resume the next month.
Yeah, we should mark down exactly where we are, because you're right in the middle of this section. It's going to start with there will come an end sometime to the growth of the Supreme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where we'll start.
2.6, yeah.
As long as you remember, I'm not going to remember. So so we're